Shout out to Hispanics causing panics.
Shout out to Hispanics causing panics.
Hispanics causing panic. I'm glad to be here.
Hispanics are causing panic, baby. Let's do it.
Let me speak on this. ¡Órale! ¡Arriba la raza! What time is it? Game time!
Órale, raza! G Funky Boxing of HCP. That's Hispanics Causing Panic. Back with another episode of Uncensored. Joined as always by my co-host, D-Style Boxing. What's going on, man?
Hey, I'm feeling good, bro. Look, he's wearing the new school shirt. I'm wearing the old school shirt. We're ready to go. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about, for sure.
That's right, man. It's the old school, the new school. We come together around here, right? Got a nice show lined up for you guys today. Hopefully you guys checked out the latest video that I dropped. Pretty funny, man. Aki TV takes a huge L at the hands of G Funky. It's not that long of a video, only a minute. So when you get a chance, go ahead and check that thing out. Pretty funny stuff, man.
Aki, I got something for you. Just really quick. Okay. All right. You see this L? Just go ahead and just hold it right there for me. You know what I mean? Let me put that in your head right there. Walk around with that L in your forehead, brother. Hold that L.
That's the problem, man, when you come up with narratives like these guys do, you know. But I want to say what's up to everybody that's here right now, the live audience. Round one says, what's up, G Funky? What's up, D Style? What's going on, round one? Puerto Rican rum. Man, that sounds good, man. I'm going to have to make myself a drink before the night's over. But he says, what's up, G Funky and D Style? We got JC in the house. What's up, man? Guys, we got some drama popping off, man, in the world of boxing right now. You know, these Triller cards with these old guys coming back, these retired fighters coming back. It's got these guys all fired up, man. We got Oscar De La Hoya, the golden boy, comes back at Canelo Alvarez after they had a back and forth, I guess you could say, a little tiny bit of a back and forth with each other on social media. Oscar claps back, man, with some harsh words for Canelo. The GOAT is here. He says, what's up, D and G Funk in the chat. Frank Yeager's here. He says, what's up, fellas? What's up, man? I'm going to play this clip here. I'm sure most of you guys have seen it, but let's just go ahead and look at it again, man. Here's the golden boy himself taking shots back at Canelo Alvarez.
Fuck you. Talking all that shit. Fucking knock your ass out.
What do you make of that, D-Style? What do you think?
Yo, so he said he's gonna knock him out. Like, come on, bro. You're really talking about Canelo, bro? Like, are you really? Like, you're 50 years old. Canelo's in his prime. Stop it. Just stop, Oscar. Stop. You don't need this, okay? You just don't. And you know what? To be honest with you, bro, even if he is serious, and even if Canelo was serious, and they're like, oh, let's do this, I don't want to watch that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just don't want to watch it, you know?
I agree, man. This is definitely not a something that I don't think will happen. Although I did joke about it recently. I think it was you that was doing you were doing a live, and I was like, yeah, man, I think Oscar's he's taking these shots at Canelo because that's a possible fight that could happen, you know. I was really just joking, but I don't know, man. This guy seems serious, man. I mean,
yeah.
I understand that a lot of these guys, you know, these retired fighters, they think that they still got it. They want to get in there and test themselves. I just don't think it's a very smart idea to come back and fight guys that are active, guys that are in their physical prime. You should just definitely try to fight another retired fighter if he's willing to come out of retirement and train and fight you. I don't have an issue with that. You know, I mean, I do have an issue with retired fighters fighting YouTubers. That's for sure. But I would definitely have a problem with this fight if it was to happen. And Oscar is definitely taking things pretty serious here, man, between him and Canelo. I don't know, man. This just seems weird to me, you know. I mean, obviously, Oscar had his promoter hat on for a really, really long time with Canelo. You know, was out there saying all the good things, pushing Canelo out there because he was his fighter. You know, and then now it seems like all of a sudden Canelo leaves Golden Boy, and man, the gloves are. I shouldn't even say the gloves are off, but he wants to put the gloves back on and and fight with Canelo, man. Like this is crazy, man. Like I think he's just going a little too far, man, in my opinion. But I don't even think Canelo would even consider fighting Oscar De La Hoya at this point. What do you think, man? Do you think if they throw the right amount of money at him, he says, you know what, let me fight this dude? What do you think?
I mean, look, he's been offered a lot of money to box his UFC guys. He was already offered a good amount of money by DAZN as a potential fight. De La Hoya is what they consider, right? So I don't think, bro, I don't think Canelo would fight him. There's really nothing to gain off of fighting De La Hoya right now. Like nothing. Other than just punishing him, you know, other than embarrassing him and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You know, like just showing them what's up. But Canelo doesn't appear to me to be a guy that needs to prove something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just how I personally feel about it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I agree 100%, man. I want to read this here. Oscar laughing as he says it. He's joking. He's got to know Canelo would send Oscar to the hospital. I would think so. You know, Blood Boxing is here. Retro Boxing and Documentaries. Make sure if you guys aren't subscribed to this channel here, you subscribe. A lot of good content, a lot of good documentaries here. But he says Oscar never runs from a fight. He don't run from the spatula either. Whoa. Right. No, that's for sure. You know, Chris 47, Oscar needs to grow up and sit his ass down. Man, you know what? The thing is this with Oscar, man. We know that this guy is he was willing to take on just about everybody when he was an active fighter. But I just think this is going a little bit too far. I know that they were talking about him possibly fighting. Was it George St. Pierre? Was that the guy that they were throwing out there that he could possibly fight?
yes,
or
George St. Pierre, the UFC fighter, and it looks like Dana was blocking the fight from happening.
Yeah. Tracy's stuff in the house. What's up, Tracy? How you doing? Wasn't there another dude? I'm not really good with the UFC guys, but there was another guy that his name was getting thrown in the mix too. I just can't remember his name. Right. If anybody in the chat can remember, I just remember there's another guy. And that fight doesn't seem to be happening.
Right.
So I'll ask this question, man. Since we know that this fight most likely won't happen, Raw Boxing in the house. He says, La Familia. What's going on, man?
Hey, Rob, get up, man. I have this sell for a key. You know, I need him to hold it. Here you go, Aki. Hold that right there. That's
right, Rob. Make sure you check my last upload before this live. Took a shot at Aki. That's the name there, Eddie Alvarez. That was the guy I remember hearing. That was a possible opponent for Oscar as well. I haven't heard anything else as far as who he's going to fight, but I'll ask this question to you, D-Style, because I think we could just really just dismiss this happening now. So I'll ask you this, and I'll ask the chat this as well.
Okay.
At what weight class, if these guys were in their prime, what weight class you think it would happen? Let's just say Oscar was an active fighter, Canelo's an active fighter.
154.
We know that, yeah, because Canelo's fought at 154. He's fought at 160. He's fought at 160. I believe he was at welterweight before, early in his career. Oscar started really, really light. I want to say 130 he probably started at.
De La Hoya started at 130. Yes, he fought at 130, 135, 140, 147, 154. He fought twice at 160. Once he lost to Hopkins, moved down to 154. Fought one more time at 147, then retired.
Yeah. Major Key Boxing in the house. Everybody make sure you subscribe to Major Key. Real good
I'll tell you
channel.
what though, like maybe we don't have to say prime. Like let's say a De La Hoya. Let's say both of them at 154. Like the De La Hoya that fought like Vargas and Trinidad, not Trinidad, Mayorga, like that. That De La Hoya was good, right? Not in his prime, but still good. And Canelo not in his prime, but still good. Okay, so it's an even fight at 154. You know what I mean? Like who wins that fight?
Tony Boswell in the house, big supporter of HCP. We appreciate you being here, man. Haplotype as well. The boxing historian has stepped in the building. What's going on, bro? I'll say this: as far as the best Oscar from 154 pounds, in my opinion. Now, some of you might disagree with me. Like you might take the Vargas version. You took the Vargas version, right? You would say,
yes.
Okay, I would take. This is just my opinion, but I would take the Oscar that fought Shane Mosley in the rematch at 154 pounds.
Yeah, I mean,
I like that Oscar there, man. I think that was a really in shape Oscar, a disciplined Oscar, an Oscar that stuck to the game plan the whole fight. I felt he won that fight. You know, he didn't get the official decision from the judges, but I definitely felt like he won that fight. And I thought he looked really good. The jab was pumping out there. Anytime Oscar's pumping that jab, he's got a real good chance of winning a fight. That jab was something special. For me, that's the Oscar I would take, though.
Okay. I mean, all right. Like I would take like the Canelo right after the Floyd fight. You know what I mean? Like
the one that fought Angulo.
Yeah, the one that fought Angulo, Lara, I would take that version of Canelo.
That's a good Canelo too.
Yeah.
What about the one that fought Kirkland? What do you think? Because that was at 154 as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's around the same. It's the same kind of trajectory. You know what I mean?
What is this here? Hold on. There's a comment here. Let's see. Militant Mind says, at G-Funky, you have to make a video about what Boxing Ego said about how he would knock out Chocolatito in a boxing match. That guy doesn't look like he could fight at all, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe he can. I don't know. But just from looking from the outside looking in, he doesn't look like much of a fighter, in my opinion.
Well, my only problem with statements like that are this, bro. Like, I don't believe you, that's number one. But second, even if you did, I mean, Chocolatito's like 115 pounds, bro. Like, what's with this? Like, I mean, I get where it's coming from. It's the whole, like, I don't watch the little guys. I feel like I could beat them up. Like, you know, but can you really, though?
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I'll have to see the video, Militant Mind, but thanks for bringing it to my attention. The GOAT says Oscar is an Olympic gold medalist, a type of pedigree Canelo ain't never seen in his whole career as far as with nasty left hooks, a good chin. R.I.P. Canelo. Ooh, he would take Oscar prime for prime. I think it's a good damn fight.
Sure.
Let's see. Chris 47 says Oscar was at his best during the late 90s, early 2000s.
I just like here's when they were both at their best, we just couldn't make the fight, guys. Like you know what I mean? Canelo at his best, I'm looking at like right now, and he's at 168 pounds. You know what I mean? Oscar at his best is 147. How the hell are you guys gonna make at their best? Canelo's too big for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would rather make a fight when Oscar was little tail end of his career and Canelo was, you know, young. You know what I mean? It's an even matchup at that point. You know what I mean?
Blood says Oscar need to sit his old ass down. Shit, he is a few months older than me. These guys, you know, they think they still got it, man. You know, but I would definitely take that. I think if I was to pick one Oscar from 154 pounds, it would definitely be the one that fought Shane Mosley in the rematch. And
he was
as far
on
as
point that night. He was on point.
He looked really good that night. I don't know, man. I think I might have to take Canelo at 154 or 155. Man. You said Angulo, man. He fucked Angulo up that night, man. Hit him with everything.
I think that was his first fight right after the Floyd fight. Like he needed to let a lot of steam out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine being so frustrated and you're like, oh, I want to hit somebody, and then you fight Canelo, and you're the guy who's gonna hit. You know, and that's what happened that night. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna completely just rule out the Canelo that fought Floyd at the catch weight. I don't feel like he was at his best at the catch weight. And, you know, I'm very consistent on that. I'm not a catch weight guy. You know, I feel like that did definitely have an effect on the fight.
You know what you could argue too, though? What about the De La Hoya that fought Mayweather?
At 154?
I mean, he looked solid, you know?
He actually did look pretty good that night.
I gave him 4 rounds against Floyd, and I feel that if he had a better game plan, he could have made it a lot closer. You know what I mean? So
I definitely do remember that album that he made. I have a performance that he did on Jay Leno on a VHS. Once I bring back the VHS classics, I'll go ahead and put that one back out there. But I definitely remember Oscar recording an album. I don't know. Maybe
by the way, I just want to let everybody know, man, just because I found like these wrinkly ass gloves on the internet.
Oh yeah.
We're going to be so stay tuned because we're going to expose some fucking MX glove bullshit. Okay, these MX gloves are a bunch of bullshit. They've been bullshit. Okay, the MX gloves have been bullshit, and I'm going to tell you right now, right? We're going to expose them. I'm just giving you guys a preview to stay tuned. Okay, to let everybody know that HCP is going to expose the MX gloves. Let them know. Wrinkly.
That's right.
Ass gloves.
That's right, man. And Chris, you're absolutely right. It was on Jay Leno. That's the one that I have. And the MX gloves. We're going to be talking about the MX gloves, man. I know that we've been out there. We've been battling the narrative for a long time now, but I don't know, man. Some things that we've seen have brought light. You know, and now we might have a new perspective as far as the MX gloves go. But
stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned, guys. Tell your friends, tell everybody to come tune in to Uncensored tonight because we're gonna go in on that. I'll say this, man. I think that the Canelo that fought Trout was a really good Canelo too. His head movement was really good. He showed power. He showed speed against the southpaw. I think I would take that Canelo at 154 pounds against Oscar. The Oscar that fought Shane and the Oscar that fought Trout for me. And you say the Oscar that fought Vargas and the Canelo that fought Angulo. I think it's a good fight, man. Now here's the real question for everybody here, for my co-host. Who wins? Who wins that fight, man? What do you think?
Let me break down the fight for you guys. This is what I'll do, and let me break down both versions of these guys, because even though it's still around the same. Like, you could argue they perform better against this guy or whatever, but Oscar De La Hoya is the veteran in this case, has more experience, okay, than a young Canelo, right? He's seen more tricks, like he's just seen more at this. He's fought guys like you wouldn't believe, right? Like a Whitaker and stuff like that. All right. So he has the experience on his side. So experience, put that one. You would agree with me, right? Experience, got to go with that version of Oscar. You got to go with him over that version of Canelo, right? De La Hoya is a front runner, brother. And I think he would come out strong. I think his combinations will overwhelm Canelo a little bit early in the fight, up until the middle of the fight, right? And then once the middle rounds are over, and once Canelo has gotten his second win, Canelo would take over somewhere around the 7th and 8th round. I think the power of Canelo would be a little too much for Oscar. I think Oscar would then get on his back foot. All right. And Oscar couldn't finish fights strong like that. And I think it would be a draw. 6-6. Oscar will control the first half of the fight. Canelo second half of the fight.
Man, my man D-Style going with a draw. What do you guys think of that, man? A draw. You gotta
Is the
pick a
draw
winner,
too weak?
bro.
Is
You gotta
everybody?
pick a
Do I
winner,
need to
bro.
pick a
all
winner?
right? Like you
Is
said,
that
no
required?
riding the fence around here, baby. Ain't no riding the fence around here. All right, let's get a winner from you, man. All right.
Now, to Boxing Dialogue's point, I'm not this. Look, they both had some stamina issues, but Oscar would start strong, maintain in the middle, and then he would kind of fade late. You know what I mean? And okay, fine. And want me to just relax, relax. Everybody's getting on me. Hold on, chill, right? And then, but Canelo would start slow, like in the like rounds 3 and 4, he would go kind of strong, and then he would kind of take some rounds off in the middle, and then he would end strong. You know what I mean? So that's why I think he would be favored in the second half of the fight. Canelo would win a controversial decision, and I think De La Hoya would be like this, like, you know how he would like act, you know, and the post-fight press conference would be something like, Canelo, what happened? I'd win the fight, you know, and all that. And then Oscar, I mean, I feel like I did all the work for most of the fight, you know, like that's how it would go. But Canelo in a very
bunches.
yeah. Like, I mean, let me tell you something. When I go out to the ring, I feel like an animal. I want to hurt people. Like, you know, like, all right, brother. But, you know, and Canelo would be like, mira, él es un buen peleador, pero yo siento que no le sentí mucho la pegada, no me tumbó, you know, and all, or whatever. But by the way, both of them have granted chins. Nobody will knock anybody down. Okay, like, so it's going to go 12.
Solid chins, yes.
But I would Canelo would edge it out, I think, at that weight.
All right. Here's what I'll say, man. I think it's a damn good fight. If we could get two guys in a time machine, put them back, or just, I don't know, somehow, some way, get both of these guys at the time period that we're talking about and put them together in a ring. My God, huge fight. I think this fight will break records as far as pay-per-view goes. These guys will make a massive amount of money with this fight. And I think it would be a damn good fight, man. I think both guys bring some good things to the table. But as far as it goes now, the one that the Oscar that I went with at 154 pounds against Shane Mosley, I know he did start to have some issues, you know, fading in fights. I felt like that fight, though, I didn't see him fade in that fight. Even when Mosley picked up the pressure, and he did late in that fight because he knew he was losing that fight. His corner was telling him, you got to go out there and get these last rounds, the championship rounds. He's telling him, you got to win these rounds, you know. I felt like he stuck to the game plan. He stayed moving, you know. And I feel like that was a really good in shape Oscar that was ready to go a hard 12 rounds that night. Same thing with the Canelo that fought Trout. Now, I did notice he did take a couple rounds off, and that was something that Canelo did as well at 154 pounds. He would take rounds off in the middle of the fight mostly. But for the most part, his defense was on point that night. You know, he made Trout miss a lot. So I think that there's a lot of good things that both guys bring to the table. But at the end of the day, I think that the Golden Boy would get the decision. And here's why I think he would get the decision. Because I think the one punch that gives Canelo trouble consistently is the jab. Kovalev was able to land good jabs on him. Triple G was able to land good jabs. Daniel Jacobs was able to land jabs at times. I think Oscar got a better jab than all those guys, to be honest with you. And when that jab is on point, it's a thing of beauty, man. And I think that would be the road to victory for Oscar in this fight. But man, it would be close. I think it would be one of those fights where we'd have a lot of people saying, no, I thought Canelo won. No, I thought De La Hoya won. But I think at the end of the day, the judges would give him the decision. Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. And look, I agree about the jab. The problem with the jab is that I think De La Hoya would get tired. And I think by the second half of the fight, he would still be throwing it, but not with the same authority. You know what I mean? It would still be there, but I think the authority behind it would go. just to kind of play both sides a little bit. I know we're not riding the fence, but is taking a round off in the middle of the fight a good idea against a De La Hoya who throws great combinations and is a great finisher? I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Canelo would have to be very careful of the way he takes the rounds off. And can De La Hoya withstand the body attack late in the fight? I believe he would. Okay, but it's something to keep in mind. So now, even though Canelo's a quote-unquote bigger guy, you know, he's a tank. I believe De La Hoya is a longer guy. You know what I mean? So he's going to have some dimension, you know, advantages over Canelo if they were to hypothetically fight in this case, you know. But I just think that it would be like a classic, like veteran that's still good but no longer in his prime, young kid that's like up and coming. You know what I mean? So it would have been a classic fight. That's for sure. Somebody said do it at 160. I mean, it took us forever to get to this point, but
yeah, I think that would favor Canelo tremendously at 160
by far. Like it's not even close. Oscar got knocked out once, and he didn't look so good. You could argue he's 0-2 at middleweight. You know what I mean? I mean, without that, I felt he lost a storm fight. So for what it's worth, it was a weight class he just didn't quite belong in. You know what I mean? So I
agree. The GOAT says Canelo from 154 cannot beat Oscar ever. Period. Ooh, man. Man, that's just I'm just picturing that in my head. Just remember, for you guys that are old enough to remember, or were how should I say this? You were old enough to witness this fight live and remember the tension in the air with De La Hoya versus Vargas. There was the room I was at the house of, it was split. Half Vargas, half De La Hoya. It was literally bad blood, like it was promoted to be. I think it would be on an even bigger level as far as, like, you know, people picking sides and people cheering on their guy. You know what I'm saying? It would be a huge, huge fight if it was to ever happen back in their prime. Huge. D Jefferson, what's up, man? You did that long stream for Mateo, man. Good stuff, man. I'm glad to hear that the little guy is home. No doubt about it. And thank you to you for your efforts and for everybody out there that took the time to donate to the little guy and to get him home, man. God bless him, you know. But it's good to see you back around, D. No doubt about it.
Shout out to D Jefferson. Blood Boxing, Major Key, everybody on here, man. Shout out to you guys.
So here's what I'll do, man. I'll have you guys. I'm gonna put the email down. I want you guys, if anybody, you know, you don't have to, but if you want to, I want you to come on, give us your prediction and your quick breakdown, and then we'll go to the next person, because I really want to pick people's brains about this fight.
That's a good idea, because look, one person doesn't decide who wins the boxing fight. Two people don't decide. We need at least a third person. You know, like we need a tiebreaker at this point. You know what I mean? Like, we need, like, Chicano Profits 10-2 scorecard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we need it. We need no Paul 11-1. You know?
Yeah, 11-1 Canelo. Round one says, I'm in my 40s. I watched them all. Do you remember, though, how I just remember waking up that morning, that Saturday morning. I had to work, and I just remember, like, breezing through work. Like, I felt like I didn't even go to work. I was so pumped up, so ready for that fight. I had money on the line with a lot of people who were picking Vargas to win that fight. Oh my gosh, that's just the feeling that boxing gives you. You know, you just can't. Nothing else gives you that feeling of a knowing that it's fight day. You know, and especially a big fight like that. Chain with Ice, what's up, bro? That's a great feeling, and Canelo versus De La Hoya. Imagine waking up that Saturday morning like, Canelo versus Oscar De La Hoya is going to be tonight. Wow, what a feeling that would be, man.
Yeah, that would have been a great fight, bro. And I think it's an even fight. I'll repeat, it's one guy, like, he's good already. He's already a world champion, but he's not quite in his prime, you know. And another guy that's still good and just out of his prime. Perfect. Just saying.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
I can pull out my clipboard for you guys and show you if you want. I mean, I haven't done this in a while, but. First of all, because I have a Sonteo Media clipboard with the 4 kings, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I got. I mean, in all seriousness, like, you know, look, All I could say, right? This is a fighter's career, okay? The start, right? From the start to the finish, and this is their prime right here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
De La Hoya was right here in his career, and Canelo. You know, that's where they were. So I think they were even Steven at that point, in my opinion. Simple as that.
Dude, I'm really tripping out now just thinking about how amped up and how hyped up I would be for an Oscar De La Hoya versus Canelo Alvarez fight. Prime for prime, of course, not now, because that's not much of a fight. H Money Boxing in the house. What's up, man? Lion Killer here as well. He says Hispanics cause it panic. That's right, man. Again, the email's at the bottom, guys. Email me, just say, hey, shoot me a link. I just want to get your opinion. 154 pounds, close to prime for prime, or whatever you want to call it. De La Hoya versus Canelo. We want to break down and prediction from you guys. If it's, you know, and again, you don't have to if you don't want to. I know some people don't. The camera's not for everybody, you know. But it's good to get the conversation rolling, man, because God damn, that would be a good fight, man. And that jab, I'm telling you, I think that jab of Oscar, man, like, it was so good, man. And that was, again, the one punch that really did a lot of damage for him, even against a guy like Floyd, who was in his prime at that time when he fought Oscar. He was able to land that jab pretty consistently that night.
Yep.
Now I hate to say shit like this, but he stopped throwing it. And then I remember them asking him a week after the fight, like, what happened to the jab? I think it was Larry Merchant. Why'd you stop throwing your jab? Just remember, he's like, well, I just wasn't the night of the jab. He said something like that. You know, and I'm like, what do you mean?
What it is, bro?
Like,
it's fatigue, bro. Like, you know what I mean? When you're 100%, like you're throwing it, boom, boom. Once you're getting tired and you're getting hit, and you're also focusing on what Floyd's doing, like it's hard, bro. Like you kind of lose sight of just throwing it. You know what I mean? But it was definitely that you could argue that's the best anyone ever did against Floyd with the jab. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Those first few rounds. You could definitely argue that. And you want me to say something else? I think De La Hoya fucked up, bro. I think he should have done the 8 ounces. He should have done 8-ounce gloves.
Yeah, I wonder what that was about, you know, because you would think he would definitely want to.
He wanted Floyd to break his wrist or his hand or something, you know, that's what it was.
Yeah. I remember that too, thinking like, why would he want 10-ounce gloves instead of the 8-ounce gloves? But, you know, it happened. Boxing Dialogue here says Oscar won his gold medal pretty much with just his jab. Yeah. And that's a trip knowing that I actually watched this guy fight in the Olympics back in 92. Fuck, I'm old. Yeah, I'm old as shit. I remember the Olympics 92. I remember the Dream Team. You know, I remember all that shit back then. God damn, it was a long time ago. But H Money here says Oscar had a great jab, bro. His only problem was fatigue. Yeah, we kind of talked about that, about how and we picked Oscar from certain fights at 154 pounds, and then we picked Canelo from a certain fight at 154 pounds. I just feel like, to me, the best I seen Oscar perform at 154 was against Shane Mosley in that rematch. And that jab was pumping like a piston that night.
What about Mayorga?
The Mayorga, that was right before the Floyd fight. Yeah, I think maybe that's a good Oscar too. Yeah, I'm up there. Blood. I know. I guess that's a good thing if people can't tell, but yeah, I'm up there, man. No doubt about it. Yes, the Barcelona Dream Team. That's right, man. One of the best, probably the greatest team ever assembled in team sports history, in my opinion. That team was incredible.
That was so unfair.
That team was incredible. I think Oscar wanted 10-ounce gloves so he could parry Floyd's shots better. Didn't think about that.
I mean,
and they both were Reyes gloves that night too. So those gloves are soft. Those gloves are made for parrying shots. Yeah.
Well, I mean, think
yeah.
about it. He might be right because the way he was kind of like crouched and like he was kind of like this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's how he fought that night. I
Maybe
think
you
he
just
showed Floyd a little too much respect that night,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Oscar,
try to type it in again, bro, because I just got an email from somebody else. But it's just gfunky84boxing at Gmail if you want to jump on and give us your quick breakdown of who you think would win that fight. Round one says Magic Johnson was my guy. Magic was a bad boy, man. One of my favorite players of all time, no doubt about it. All right, we got our first guy on. We got our first guest. We're going to give him a few minutes here to.
brought to you by Sharpie. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Stay tuned, guys. We're going to expose those gloves later. I'm just letting you guys know. We're going to expose the gloves. Stay tuned. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Brian, my brother. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm straight, man. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear, man.
Fist bump. Fist bump. Fist bump.
Okay.
Oh, you're leaving D-style hanging. Look at that.
How about a straight right hand? Wow.
Boom. Boom.
Was good, D style.
By the way, Big Mike, can you give this to Aki? I need him to hold this out, brother.
Who?
Yeah, give this out to Aki. Here you go, brother. Go ahead and give that to him. You know what I mean?
Give an L.
New media takes an L today.
Well, you know what? I mean, I don't know, these mainstream boxing cats, man. They took an L
guys.
after this weekend. I'll say that much.
Yep. So Brian, we're gonna give you the floor, man. Give you a couple minutes here to break down this fight. Tell us which version of Oscar De La Hoya and which version of Canelo would you take from 154 pounds? Pair them up and give us your breakdown of who you think wins that fight, man.
Canelo fought at 147 too, right? Yeah, he fought at 147, right?
Yeah, in his younger days. Yeah.
Yeah, because De La Hoya came from what, 135?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say.
Canelo.
Necco.
No, it's gone now.
Okay.
What's going on, D? I had to put you on mute for a second, brother. But I can see you.
Don't crash on us, brother. Don't crash on us.
Okay, which weight class? I would say 154 since they were the most successful.
Yeah. Well, we're doing it at 154. Like pick a version of each 154.
Yeah, but I'll say 154 for both. And 12-round fight, for the title, championship rounds. Okay, here's how, just off the top of my head, here's what I would say, right? Because De La Hoya, and I think his style would give Canelo a big problem just because of what we've seen in the past against guys like Joe Saunders, against guys like Erislandy Lara, all right, Austin Trout, guys of that ilk. Even to a certain smaller degree, a shot Miguel Cotto, all right. I think that Canelo Alvarez will get outboxed for at least first 4 or 5 rounds against De La Hoya. But the thing is about De La Hoya is that a lot of times in his career, the problem with him is that he had a good jab, can move around, can throw combinations. He had good speed. His powers was okay, decent, but and he was a tough guy. I'll give him credit for that. But here's the problem with him and what Canelo has over him. Canelo Alvarez has a lot of toughness, and of course he has more power. His power is above average. I think that as the rounds go on, let's say he drops to like 4 or 5 rounds in the 12-round fight. I would say the 6th, 7th, and 8th in 9th round is when Canelo Alvarez will come on. And the reason why I say that is because every time I've seen Oscar De La Hoya fight in those top fights, he'd always get suckered into a brawl. And he always gets suckered into a pocket fight. And I don't think that would be his best option against someone like Canelo, because Canelo is really good on the inside, really good left hook to the body. Even at 154, he displayed really good defense. We saw it with Trout. We saw it with other guys. You know what I'm saying? He showed some defense. He showed some capability of moving forward, backwards, side and moving the side to side. You know what I'm saying? I think that as the rounds go on, Canelo Alvarez will start getting to him because his mentality would come to stand in the pocket, fight with someone like Canelo. And I think he would be on his back foot after doing that, after like the second or third round of them engaging. And then that's where I think when you deal with the judges are going to look at Canelo coming forward, and you're going to see Oscar De La Hoya going backwards. You know what I'm saying? In that sense, going into the 10th, 11th, and 12th round, I would say he might win maybe 1 or 2 rounds, but I think there would be a time where Canelo Alvarez would score a knockdown, just based off of De La Hoya getting caught. And I don't think Canelo Alvarez he can get hurt, mind you, but he's shown a granted chin throughout his professional career. And I don't think that De La Hoya would have enough punching power or enough offense in general to really do damage to him like he'd need to. But what I think is it will go to the judge scorecard. I do think that Canelo Alvarez will probably win by like 1 or 2 rounds, all right, or at the most 3. But I do think it'd be really a really I wouldn't say a chess match, but I do think it would be a very interesting fight and clash of styles, especially if the styles are, when they clash, who comes up with the backup plan. And I think that Canelo Alvarez would be more capable of a backup plan in that sense. So I would say Canelo Alvarez for like 2 or 3 rounds.
Sounds good.
All right. Nice breakdown, dude. Really good breakdown there. D Jefferson.
What's up, fellas? What's good with you guys, man? I miss you guys, man. But yeah, Canelo and Oscar, bro. Look, I want to say this and start off with this. Oscar's too fucking old, fam. I gotta start off with that. He's too fucking old. Now, stylistically, yeah, this is something that I think people need to think about when it comes to Oscar and Canelo, right? He's been around Canelo for a long time, watching this guy fight. I'm pretty sure he's been in the gym and everything, seeing what Canelo's been practicing on, so forth and so on. He knows more about Canelo than Canelo knows about Oscar. I mean, in that ring, and I just put a video up. I haven't released it yet. I'm gonna release it when I get back home, talking about this fight. And Oscar De La Hoya, regardless of what people think, if he jerked Canelo out of money or the lawsuit, forget about all of that. He is an ATG. This is something that Canelo is striving to be. I don't really. If we compare Oscar and the boxer that he was compared to what Canelo is today, I see Oscar as a superior boxer. Just as far as the sweet science is concerned. And, I said in the video, if anybody can criticize Canelo about what he did wrong or what he does wrong in the ring, well, then it would be an ATG, wouldn't it? I mean, this guy's already at the level where Canelo's striving to be. But with that being said, he's too old, man. He's too old. We talk about the gas and my man, I don't know your name, but you made a hell of a point when you mentioned can Canelo hurt him. I mean, can Oscar hurt him? And I doubt it, bro. I doubt that Oscar can hurt Canelo. How do you deter this guy? How do you deter Canelo Alvarez from coming in after you, Oscar De La Hoya? And we see what happens when Canelo gets in on you.
Really quick, the question was the best version of De La Hoya 154 versus the best version of Canelo 154. Who do you think would win?
Oscar all day. I say Oscar all day. And I know that Oscar had struggles when he moved up, but just experience, bro. You saying the best version of Oscar, I say Oscar wins that. He win it by decision, man. You talking Canelo at 154. Canelo now is a different story, but Canelo at 154 versus Oscar at 154, I'm going Oscar all day, fam. We got to remember, that was the same Canelo that got schooled by Floyd Mayweather. He got schooled, absolutely schooled. Right? Boxer, bro. He was a brilliant boxer. And this guy was relentless. At 154, I'm picking Oscar all day long. I don't think that Canelo Alvarez is the boxer that Oscar ever was. He could be eventually, but I don't think he is, bro. Oscar was a better boxer than him. At 154, I'm giving it to Oscar all day.
I would have to.
I would have to.
I would have to agree with you on that, D. I feel like the jab of Oscar, that jab again, man. I hate to sound like a broken record, but that jab he had was one of the best I've ever seen in the game. Now I know I haven't been watching boxes a lot as long as a lot of you guys here on YouTube have, but I consider myself, an OG now, But that jab was something special, and that's a punch that gives Canelo trouble even to this day. As improved as he is, guys are still able to land a good jab on him consistently. The footwork would definitely give him some trouble. And I just like that version the version of Oscar De La Hoya at 154 pounds that fought Shane Mosley in the rematch. I think that would be a very tough guy to beat for Canelo Alvarez, in my opinion. But man, you guys have some good stuff to bring to the table for the breakdown in that fight. And my God, that's a huge fight. Before you guys go, I want to ask you one more question to each of you before you go. If that fight, let's just say hypothetically it happens, right? I'm going to start with you, D. How many pay-per-view buys do you think that fight does?
Bro, that fight's massive. I couldn't even imagine. But I don't think there's a fight right now that would surpass that. Not even Joshua Fury or Joshua Wilder. I think that would be probably the biggest fight. I really do, because of the name Oscar has and who Canelo is right now. That fight would be massive, bro. I could just imagine the numbers that it would do. And you gotta believe, look at what Tyson and fucking Holyfield did. So you're talking an ATG and the current face of boxing, fam. That shit would be fucking massive. All of these damn casuals want to pay for Floyd and Logan and Jake Paul and Nate Robinson. Man, that fight would blow the hell up, bro. I just could imagine that fight would blow up, fam. But hey, guys, appreciate you guys having me kicking for a little bit, man. Like I said, I miss you guys. I'll be back around. I'm still going to take a few days off. And 43 days was grueling, but well worth it, man. I'm so happy that little fella's back home with Gonzalo and his wife. Definitely well worth it, bro. And I appreciate all of you guys over here that came over there and donated and spent the time, because the duration on the lives, everything counted, guys. And we were able to raise over $21,000 for this kid. And it was just a beautiful thing. So I appreciate all you guys. G Funky, my man, D Style Boxing, mi hermanos. Love you guys, man. I'll talk to you.
Peace out, brother.
All right, that was D Jefferson, man, of Speak Your Mind Sports Talk. Yeah, he did a hell of a run there, 43 days straight, and I'm glad that Mateo's home. So my boy Brian, my brother Brian, before I let you go, man, I want to know, what do you think? Oscar De La Hoya versus Canelo Alvarez, does that break the internet if it happens today? I think it might, but what do you think as far as pay-per-view goes, man?
It's a good question. Here's what I'll say, right? I would say it'd be the second best. And the reason why I say it's second best because we're doing time comparisons, right? If Mike Tyson and Ali fought, I think that would be the record breaker.
Ooh,
I think just based off of the fan base from, let's say if we accumulate all the fan base, we were able to bring them back to their prime in a time machine. I think that would break it. But Canelo Alvarez versus Oscar De La Hoya in their prime at 154, possibly 8 million. Depending on where they put it at. I mean, I'm just basing off of where they would put it at, because then there'd be no excuse for the fan base, because look, they're both Mexican. You know what I'm saying? And you have the fan base in Mexico and you have the fan base in America. So it only makes sense that possibly, of course, Mexicans, they support their fighters, especially if they're on top of the game. If you were to have two of them on that particular status, I could see doing 7 or 8 million.
Yeah, especially in today's world, man, with social media, being an extra platform, I guess you could say, to promote fights. But man, you got my spidey senses tingling, man, when you brought up Tyson Ali. I mean, man, I'm starting to think about pairing up old guys. I'm thinking like, what about a guy like a dream matchup for a lot of us hardcore fans would be like a Ray Leonard versus Floyd Mayweather. That would be a huge pay-per-view. Manos de Pierda Duran versus Pacquiao.
Yeah.
Oh man, those are big fights too.
Oh man.
But
yeah. Hell yeah.
those are huge fights, man. But Brian, man, I want to thank you for giving us your time, man, and coming on and giving us a breakdown, man. You made some great points, man.
Oh no, I appreciate it, man, because this ACP is one of the only places on YouTube for real boxing talk. So that's why I'm supporting y'all, man. And plus, I've known you guys for the last 10 years, so it's not hard to support, you know. But nah, for real, man, you guys doing a good work, man. Really,
absolutely,
we all appreciate it.
So you're saying you're down with ACP, is what you're saying?
So I'm down with the sword.
All right,
we appreciate you, Brian, man. Have a good night, man. Make sure you don't leave us, man. Stay in the chat, you know, and engage with us.
Let us know, chat.
Topics, man.
Yeah, let us know who's down with HCP. But yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, man. Good. I think it's a good question and good matchup, man. But that would definitely be one of the biggest fights ever. Canelo versus Oscar De La Hoya. Unbelievable. Well, it's time to, unfortunately, we've got to, you know, switch topics on you guys. All right. And that's right, Tracy. Hit that like button. Don't forget hashtag HCP. That's right, JC. We appreciate all the support, guys. Next topic, though. MX gloves. MX Everlast gloves have been a topic of controversy for the last year now on YouTube and on social media where there's a boxing community. So let's talk about it, man. D-Style, what's on your mind, man? I know you ran across some things, some images here. We've had Ernesto Gavion from Everlast come on and talk to us about the Everlast gloves. So, what do you got for us, man?
Well, I was sent some gloves, some MX gloves, and I looked at them. And so we've been hearing a lot about the Fury thing, and you know, oh look, they look wrinkly. Gloves shouldn't look like that. I've never seen gloves like that ever. Whoever ever boxed with gloves like that should never be allowed to box ever again. And we've been hearing these things over and over again from Aki, you know, Dante's Boxing Nation, you know, a lot of people on here.
By the way, Aki, kiss the motherfucking ring. Go ahead.
That's right, bro. Hey, I still got the help. We got to hold it, brother. Stop putting it down. And then I got a hold of some pictures and we'll show them in a little bit. But if you could show the first graphic, you know, with that for the banner I posted.
Yeah, here's what we put. We shared this on the thumbnail here of the video. There we go. We got a pair of Everlast MX gloves. You can see there at the bottom, made in Mexico, you know.
Problem. You know what I mean? And what I need is like we really need people to be consistent around here. You know what I mean? Like I'm just saying. And no pulsating, everybody's hating. Be open-minded, please, guys. Like, here's out first. Don't be like the Wilder fans that they don't want to hear anything, and be open-minded, please. Okay, even if this favors the Wilder, we're here at HCP. We're for the truth. You know, what I mean? We're not for we can't say this because then it favors Wilder's argument, and like, we can't do that. Let's stick to the facts. These gloves look wrinkly as shit, and I got a picture of other ones that look wrinkly as fuck, bro. Okay. And remember, why do they look wrinkly, bro?
Why? Yeah, it's a good question.
Like, why are they wrinkly? Like, because they're horsehair. Is that but keep in mind, I mean, what have we been told? And I was thinking about it. You know, like, you know, it's think about it. We're told, and why is Fury allowed to wear gloves that look wrinkly like this? It's just because of white privilege? Is that's why he's allowed to wear gloves like this? Only somebody with white privilege is allowed to wear gloves like this, bro. That's it. Wrinkly ass gloves, custom made gloves. That's it. That's it. That's what I'm saying. Wrinkly.
I was told by
ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Yep. And I was told by a quote unquote expert or someone who knew about gloves who said that Fury's gloves looked sus. They looked sus, man. You know? And you know, I just gotta be honest, man. Like these gloves right here, these ones that you see in the middle of the screen look suspect, man. I mean, what? I mean, gloves shouldn't need to be shouldn't look like they need to be ironed or some shit, you know? Like I see other guys wearing gloves like they're not wrinkly like this. You know, these guys that told me, "Hey, man, those gloves that Fury wore, they look like they were ran through the drag down the road or something."
That's how these look. Look at this bullshit. Let's keep consistent, G-Funky. This is bullshit right here. These gloves are bullshit. Why are they wrinkly? Why are they like this? Stop making excuses. Oh, no, don't say that. The Wilder fans, that's what they want you to say. That doesn't matter, guys. Just stick to the facts. Not which fan base wants to hear what and fuck all that. We got them. We got the gloves. Come on.
Yep. And unfortunately, these gloves here that we see on the screen right here, they were used. They were used in a professional fight.
This was before the fight, G-Funky. Look how they look before the fight, and they were custom made. The Wilder fans exposed this bullshit. They said the custom made gloves are a bunch of bullshit. Only you have to have white privilege to have custom made gloves and be allowed to fight with them. And I agree with them now, God damn it. I agree. I'm for Glovegate now, G-Funky. I'm for Glovegate. This is bullshit. What do you mean they're wrinkly, G-Funky? What do you mean?
Man, I can't honestly. I have no explanation for this, man. You know, I think that there's some shenanigans definitely going on here with these gloves. I'm just gonna have to give credit where credit is due.
No, HCP agrees with the Wilder fans. This is bullshit. I'm just putting it out there.
Shout out to Blue Blood who said that these gloves here need to be banned. He said,
"That's right."
He exposed that shit, man. Shout out to him, man. All right, he's the one that came out. He's the one that had enough courage, all right, to come out and say we need to ban MX gloves. We need to get rid of them. They should be illegal. You know, they should be one standard glove for everybody. Is what he said.
That's it.
You know,
bullshit. Bullshit, G-Funky. How dare somebody wear these type of gloves, G-Funky? If Wilder wore gloves like this, they'd send him to jail. Jail, G-Funky. He'd be in jail. Isn't that what a dude told us on my show? He'd be in jail.
Yep. That's exactly what they told us.
Oh, shit. We need to get to the bottom of this shit. I know you have the other images. It's time to reveal them and reveal who the fuck was wearing this shit because I'm tired of this shit. Tired of it.
Yeah. We were told that on the live stream. We were told, and by the way, I see you, Mr. Sinister. Thanks for being here. We were told that if Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder wore gloves like this, that they would throw him in jail. They would hold him in jail for attempted murder, is what we were told. And we disagreed. But now, you know what?
You got a point,
man?
You got a point, bro.
Yeah.
That's right. What's going on?
So here's some other gloves that we found here. Oh, shit.
Oh, what's that? Fuck.
Shit.
Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Those are so wrinkly ass.
Look at that.
Bomber, but is it? Maybe it was Joe Louis. You know it's Joe Louis. Those old gloves, bro. The brown bomber. Those are old raggedy ass gloves. That's why, right?
Those got to be old. Those have to be old. Those can't be.
Can't be Wilders. Is that a Mexico little logo in the bottom there?
It is. That's got to be.
Is that what that is?
It's got to belong to.
Is that what this is? Wait a minute. Is that a WBC belt in the background? Because I know he was a WBC champion. Is that what that is?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
What's going on?
I don't know,
wait a
man.
minute. Is that a little painting or a little cartoon picture of Deontay Wilder behind the glove right now? Well, what is this? Are those wrinkly ass, MX gloves? Is that what we're looking at right now?
I think we
I
are.
thought these were illegal, G-Funky.
They should be. If they're not, they should be.
You know what?
I
don't know. I'm not convinced that could be anybody's glove. Maybe Fury's team make these gloves to make it seem like Wilder wore them. We know Wilder wouldn't wear shit like this. You know what I mean? He wouldn't do it.
He would not. He would not. Oh, shit.
Well, wait a minute. What is this?
Whoa.
Another pair of MX gloves? Wrinkly ass custom made gloves that say bronze bomber on them? Is that what this is?
Oh boy. We got some controversy here, guys.
Custom. Custom Everlast MX fight gloves that Deontay Wilder will wear tomorrow night when he takes on Malik Scott. Has anybody told Malik Scott that Wilder was trying to kill him with illegal gloves?
I mean, the way Scott went down in that fight, I thought he was dead. That right hand, I mean, man, that right hand blew him away,
Raggedy ass gloves.
Oh my goodness. Image number 3. Oh boy, there they are again.
We got them again, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen.
Those gloves look wrinkly as fuck, man.
We got them, ladies and gentlemen. We got them, ladies and gentlemen. We got them.
They ain't gonna like this one. But remember this image we had up here? We covered the name on them for a reason because the bronze bomber wore those gloves.
Oh, wait a minute. 2014? Deontay Wilder's back custom MX bronze bomber gloves? MX gloves that he wore against Spilka? Is that what I'm looking at right now?
Oh boy. Guess what? It's time for them to kneel down and kiss the motherfucking ring again. You guys are gonna have to hold an L again. All right.
Oh man. I hate to do this, ladies and gentlemen. I hate to do this, but just saying, you know what I mean? Here's the L. There you go. Make sure you wear this one. There you go. Let me give another one to Aki. Here you go, Aki. There you go. All right. Yeah, there you go.
Mexico native says Wilder's power makes sense now. He's been using them cheating ass Mexican gloves. Yep.
So obviously we were trolling earlier. Okay. Wilder wore the same fucking type of gloves, right? Custom made gloves. And what did they tell us? Custom just means that they're going to put color and like bomber on it and they look wrinkly. That's how those type of gloves look. Okay. So if you said before whoever wears it is a cheater and a piece of shit, then you got to keep it consistent. HCP never said that. We never said that at all, actually.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. These guys just I think it's pretty obvious at this point now.
MX boxing gloves. That's what the motherfucker was wearing, guys.
Yep.
Okay.
And he's an Everlast fighter. He still wears Everlast to this day. So if there's a problem with Everlast, he's continuing to wear those gloves, and maybe they need to investigate their own fighter,
And they did have a pair from when we talked to Gabion that he could have worn the MX gloves, but he chose to go with a power lock. Okay.
Yep.
Maybe because he was breaking his hands like he did against Ariola. So he needed more padding on it so he don't break his hand. Okay. But he's worn it, not just in the Ariola fight, which we know he wore MX gloves for. He wore it several times. And you look at the gloves, the custom-made gloves, they look pretty wrinkly to me. Okay? Wrinkly as boxing gloves. All of a sudden, shit hits the fan.
And the real problem is this, man. Guys that come on here that have big followings, they come on here and talk about all the soap opera drama shit that goes on in boxing. Yet when it comes to something as simple as knowing what gloves are made out of, how they look, why they're designed a certain way, these guys don't know a fucking thing. And this proves it right here because, again, shout out to Blue Blood Sports, who went on and on about how we need to ban MX gloves. Those gloves should be illegal. No one should be able to use those gloves, right? Well, your boy Wilder used them plenty, all right? Yet you were quiet as a church mouse about that, you know?
What about Lupe Pintor? Did Lupe Pintor wear the MX gloves?
Well, Lupe Pintor, you know, he's he's trying to do his best, you know, to get his name out there, but it's not working out. You know, you might as well just drop it, bro. All right?
Singing those R&B songs, buddy. Keep singing those R&B songs, buddy.
Yeah. He's definitely lied about some things, man. And again, make sure you check my last video before I went live here with Aki TV. Takes a massive L at the hands of G Funky about this whole Deontay Wilder who had a dented skull and bullshit like that. But
they made, and by the way, some other stuff I found out. So look, you know what? I'll save that for another time. We got time.
Yeah.
But back to this. Look, let me tell you guys something, okay? Deontay Wilder also wore MX gloves. And you know what else, you funky? He had no objection to the gloves at the glove selection when Ernie Gabion was there for Everlast for both.
Should I play that? Should I play that clip again?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's go ahead and play the clip, all right? Because Ernesto Gabion was there. He presented the gloves because both guys wore Everlast that night. Now, we had him on. We asked him questions, and here's what he had to say. Check it out.
Regarding the first fight, that's his question, I have something for him. Tyson Fury that night had 6 pairs of MX gloves to choose from. He had black and he had green. So he went through the whole gamut, tried them all on. So any issues with the gloves, we had 6 pairs to go through. So he can throw that one out the window.
Were you at the glove selection meeting for those fights or no?
Yes, I was at the glove selection for Fury, but not at the second fight because he used Pappen for that one.
Okay. Yeah. That first fight, did the Wilder team have any objections at all about Fury's gloves? And did they get to look at them?
No, he's an Everlast fighter. So he had the option. I think he was going to go with the MX, but he ended up wearing the Paralock instead. Whereas Tyson decided to wear the.
Boom! Reality hits him in the face. The guy had no objections. He said nothing about the gloves that night. It's all bullshit.
Nor did he ever say anything. Like, remember, guys, they had a face-off. They had press conferences, several of them, a lot of interviews before the second fight. I never once heard, you know, man, I think there was something wrong with those gloves, those MX gloves, those MX boxing gloves. I don't know. Like, well, you never said anything about it until you got your ass whooped. Then all of a sudden you had all types of things to say. Okay?
Exactly. It's very convenient now that you want to talk about gloves looking wrinkly and floppy and all this type of shit, but yet the night everything went down, again, quiet as a church mouse.
Yeah.
So again, man,
what did we learn today in class, kids?
Yep. Stay off of drugs. That's what we learned. Remember those commercials, D-Style, back when we were kids with the egg? This is your brain. They crack the egg. They throw it on a hot skillet. This is your brain on drugs. Guys,
just for the record, that's how horsehair gloves look. That's normal. Okay? Professional boxing gloves don't look the way like the sparring gloves you buy at Walmart. Okay? Or the bag gloves you buy at Walmart or a sporting goods store. That's not how the gloves look. Okay? Just saying.
We had Aki again on his channel.
And we had Ernie Gabion show us that you can bend the hand back. The Wilder was literally like this, bro. I mean, look, you can't, it's impossible. It's impossible to bend it back, you know, unless you're double jointed. You know what I mean?
What about that?
I don't know, man. I could bend my hand back just fine, bro. Like, what do you mean?
Especially if my hand's open. Oh, like Tyson Fury.
Oh, if it's open, forget it, brother. You know what I mean? But it's impossible. Like, who just buys that? Who listens to that and says, like, you can't just do this yourself to see if it's impossible? Like you could just do it and say, no, well, that's not true, bro. Hey, you're my dude, but it's not true. You know what I mean? You can't. Look, it's impossible. It's impossible to bend it back. You know?
Unless you're double jointed. You know,
and they got idiots that buy the fucking gloves that are for sparring or for hitting the bags and have that extra padding right here. You know what I mean? So it does make it hard to bend back, but that's not a fucking professional MX glove. Gloves that are also made to parry shots like this. You know what I mean? God damn.
That's exactly what they're made for. You know, when Ernie was interviewed before we got him on our show, they asked him, they're like, why are they soft? Why are they made soft with this material? And he specifically said it's because for parrying and blocking shots. You know, that's why they're soft. Again, these guys are a fucking joke, man. They don't know shit about gloves. Just stick to your bullshit soap operas, man, and you'll be fine. Okay. But I feel like we've already burned these guys down enough. This was another dagger to the Glovegate conspiracy theory. So we're gonna switch topics to the last topic of the night, and you know, it does involve Wilder. The undercard was announced today for Fury and Wilder 3. And you know what? I got to give credit where credit is due. I think this is a good card, man. I do think it's a really good card. All heavyweights. Obviously, we have the main event, Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder for a third time. Then we have Frank Sanchez versus Efe Ajagbe, which I think is a really good fight. Helenius versus Kawanaki, the rematch is on that card as well. And then we have Jared Anderson, who's looking like a really good up-and-coming heavyweight. There is an opponent to be announced. But this is a pretty solid card, man. I'm pretty excited for it, man. I like it. It reminds me of an old Don King pay-per-view. Remember, he used to put on pay-per-views, all heavyweights and stuff like that. Really good card, man. I like it, man. What are your thoughts, D-Style?
Helenius, Kawanaki too. I love it. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to be a war. You know what I mean? I can't wait for that fight, to be honest. It's going to be a great appetizer before the main course at the end. You know what I mean? So I like it. You know, I like that fight, you know, and hey, fee, fight, full fun for the big guys, bro. That's what this is, you know? The Giants are going to be fighting. Kind of wish they had like Andy Ruiz like on the undercard or something. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I mean, why not?
That would be big. Andy Ruiz on the undercard. Holy shit! But we got another guy from the Reynoso camp who's going to be there, and Frank Sanchez, who's turned out to be a pretty good heavyweight, man. I have to admit, after seeing him a couple of times, you know, I was thinking, might need a little bit of work, but he's hasn't looked so bad in his last couple of fights. We are now being joined by Calix 2.0 Boxing. What's up, brother?
It's good, man. Good to be on. Catching up with y'all.
Yeah, man. We're talking about I don't know if you've seen, they announced the undercard for the trilogy, man. What are your thoughts on the undercard, man?
I love it. And I caught the end of what you were saying, and that's exactly what I was going to say. It reminds me of the old Don King cards. I love, and Top Rank has done this with the lower weight classes in the past, where they put everybody in the same weight class on the same card. I love when they do that. So I like the theme, heavyweight theme. I love the rematch there. Like D-Style said, that's going to be a war. And I like the fact that they put, I'm not even going to try to say his name. I butcher his name repeatedly, but the young cat that's supposed to be the next up and coming heavyweight to look out for. I believe he's from Russia. So he's going to be on the card.
Herkovich, is that
right? You know how I am with last names, man. I'm gonna destroy it, so I'm not even gonna. I gotta practice it a little more.
So
But
just gotta put the it's like hurt the bitch, but just put like a bit in there, like hurt the bitch, hurt the bitch, like you're good.
But I love this card, and of course in the main event, no matter what happens, even if it's a lopsided victory by Fury, there's going to be some sort of entertainment.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if something happens post fight. Bad blood here, so this is great for me.
I'm feeling the card too, man. I love that. I remember the Don King, the last time he put on a pay-per-view with all heavyweights. I believe the main event was John Ruiz versus oh God, I should remember this. No, it was not Holyfield. It was when his trainer Norman Stone got thrown out. It's the first time I've ever seen a trainer get thrown out.
Oh yeah.
Fight. And I just can't remember who it was, but John Ruiz was the main event. I remember Holyfield fought Larry Donald, I believe, was the opening fight that night. Gosh, that was a good card, man.
What year was that? Was this?
That was like in early 2000s, I want to say, or maybe late 90s, but good fights that night, man. Some of the best heavyweights at the time were on that card. Now I gotta look it up, man, because it's bothering me.
That wasn't Rockman, was it? Was that the Rockman?
I think Rockman was on that. He was on that card too, Rockman. Oh man, I can't believe I'm forgetting right now. See, this is what happens when you get old, man. You just can't remember things like you used to,
You're that old.
I'm getting up there, man.
It might even be one of the Holyfield fights.
I think Holyfield was like, if I'm not mistaken, he was like one of the first fights that night, if not the first fight. And I think it was Larry Donald that he fought. And
was it the Thomas Williams fight?
Let me see. I'm going to find it right now. Oh, he fought. The main event was John Ruiz versus Andrew Golota. That was the main event that night.
Did he fight Golota after the Holyfield trilogy? Was that after or before?
I think it might have been after.
It's hard to believe that Golota stuck around for that long. That guy was a head case.
Yes, he was, man. Golly, I'm trying to look and see who else was on the card that night. But yeah, Ruiz Golota was the main event. I remember watching that fight live and thinking that one of the fights that was on the undercard. There we go. Combat Sports Media. Thank you so much. Chris Bird versus Jamil McCline was another fight. Chris Bird versus it wasn't David Tua. Maybe Tua was on the card though, but Rockman was on it too. Meehan, was that it? That name's not ringing a bell. But that was a hell of a fight, man. A hell of a card that night. Topped off by the cherry on top was Norman Stone acting a fool, cussing out the referee and getting thrown out of the corner. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that before in the history of boxing, or since I've been watching boxing, I just say. But that guy, you got to give credit where credit is due, though. That dude stuck up for his fighter, John Ruiz, through thick and thin, man.
Well, Roger Mayweather got tossed too, so you got to remember that.
Yeah, that's right. That fight should have been a disqualification, man.
It should have been a DQ.
Let's see here. JD Spade says, "You guys talk very well, very insightful, but you need to get rid of y'all's. I don't know what that means. Shtick, the glasses, the hat. Oh, you hating on the glasses and the hat, man? Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Well, we appreciate you being here, man. Though, L Dub, I'm glad you're here.
Only
man.
Hispanics wore hats, but okay.
L Dub, I want to pick. Yeah, Aki, I want to pick your brain, man. I know you remember this. The night of the heavyweights that Don King had with Ruiz Golota was the main event. What was the card, man? We're trying to think of the undercard. We just can't remember, but it was a good fight card, man. And the trilogy, man, is looking like it's gonna be like an old throwback, man. And that's good with me, That's good with me, man.
And not only that, I don't know if you caught this, but I think the tentative date for Joshua Usyk is September 21st or something like that. So they're going to go through with that fight, it looks like, in September.
Okay. Yeah, see, there's the first one. Holyfield Donald, Larry Donald. I remember that when Donald smoked him in that fight. I mean, that fight, I don't even think it went. I think it was an early fight. If I recall. Tony Boswell says, just getting off of work. Thank you all for the great conversation. Yeah, man. Anytime, man. Thank you so much, Tony. Big supporter of HCP. Oliver McCall was on that against Williamson. Huh. Man, I don't remember McCall, but man, I have to go back and watch it. Bird McCline for sure. And then I think it was the main event was Ruiz Golota. Golota was always a fun guy to watch, man. You just never know what that guy's going to do in the ring. He might bite you. He might throw a combination to the balls. He might just quit out of nowhere, you know. Yeah, man. Good night of fights, though, from Don King. D-style with the flashcards, man. Kaka TV. Yeah. Calix, since we got you here, man, I want to ask you about this right here. I don't know if I'm sure you've seen it, but I want to play it again. I want to get your thoughts on this, man.
Fuck you. Talking all that shit. Fucking knock your ass out.
That's a response to Canelo Alvarez.
Sit your ass down, 50-year-old man. Sit your ass down, brother.
He's trying hard, man. He's trying hard for a big payday. Trying hard. Do you think it's because most of his stable left him and he needs to be a fighter again to get big paydays?
Bro,
he doesn't have that passive income coming in.
When De La Hoya decided to sue Al Heyman, okay, like a lot of the court documents revealed that Canelo was the only fighter making money for Golden Boy, and he was subsidizing everybody else. You know what I mean?
So now he's like a spurned ex-girlfriend, which I dropped the video.
But like, what is that, bro? like, fuck you. I'll knock you out. Fuck? Why are you checking your hair? Like, well, what is this, bro?
It's not gonna work. Canelo's not gonna bite on this. He's not gonna bite on Jake Paul calling him names. I think Canelo's gonna stick with what Canelo's doing. I think he's going for legacy. But from what I understand, y'all were talking about a fantasy matchup at 154 earlier. Is that what y'all were saying?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get your thoughts, man. I want you to give us your best version of Oscar at 154 pounds and your best version of Canelo at 154 pounds, and who wins that fight.
Now, who did y'all pick?
I picked Oscar to win by decision in a very close fight, and I picked the Oscar from the Shane Mosley rematch at 154, and I picked the Canelo from the Austin Trout fight.
I don't know what Canelo I would pick. Probably the Austin. Maybe a little later than Austin Trout, because I think Canelo was still trying to get it figured out. But I would definitely pick the Oscar, because Oscar fought, 5 or 6 fights at 154? Is that right? Because I don't know I know for sure the Pacquiao fight happened at 147. I don't know what the Stevie Ford fight. I think he went back.
Ford was at 47 too. Yeah.
And the Mayweather fight was at 54.
Yep.
And Oscar still looked pretty good that late in the game against Floyd. Looking back at it, close to prime Floyd, if not a prime Floyd. He was in that fight. But I would definitely go with you, because you could argue that Oscar beat Shane in that second fight, close fight, and Shane was shooting lasers that night. I mean, Shane was in the zone. Those two fights, De La Hoya versus Mosley, are great, both of them. So I would go with you there. You could also pick the Vargas fight.
That's the version that D-Style picked, was the Vargas.
Because he stepped up to 54 after the Gotti fight, right? Because the Gotti fight happened after
he lost to Shane. Yeah, so I think you're right.
He lost to Shane, then he came back against Gotti, and I think he moved up to 54 after that. So either one of those, whether you go with Vargas or Shane at 54, I don't see Canelo at 54 beating Oscar. I actually think it'd be a little more lopsided than a close decision. I would see it like 117, 111, something like that. The prime Canelo is now 160, 168. I don't think the Canelo that was at 54 is what Canelo is now. And I just don't think he was as strong at that weight, as experienced, as intelligent to deal with Oscar at that point, which you could argue is close to prime Oscar. He was exiting his prime at that point.
Yeah.
Right?
I would agree.
So,
yeah.
So I would take Oscar. 117, 111, something like that. Oscar was a beast, man. People forget because of the fishnets and all the stupid video where Oscar,
I don't think he would beat him that wide. I just don't.
You don't think?
Who do you ever beat that wide?
I feel like he won the Mosley fight pretty comfortably. That's why I picked that fight. I feel he won 8 rounds of that fight, in my opinion. I think he won the Vargas fight. I feel like he beat Vargas pretty handily too. But
7-5, I'll give you that. 7-5.
Those are closer rounds against Vargas, though. Vargas was landing some heavy shots on him, but I feel like that was a pretty comfortable decision for Oscar as well.
I hate to do the whole triangle theory thing, but they do have a common opponent at 154, and that's Floyd. And clearly Oscar dealt with it a lot better than Canelo. I just don't think that Canelo at 54 was anywhere close to where he's at right now. If we're talking about Canelo now versus Oscar at 154.
So you think the experience of De La Hoya would kind of be too much for Canelo?
Yes. The experience, and plus he was still close to his prime, and I don't think Canelo was there yet when he was at 154. I think Canelo was entering his prime when he fought Golovkin.
And I'll tell you what, though, is it possible that because Fight Doctor just said it, actually, he was at his best with Mayweather Sr. Mayweather Sr. was not going to train him against his own son, but if he was in his corner instead of Freddie Roach, well, I just don't think Freddie Roach is the guy to have against a Mayweather. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that was a bad decision.
If he had Senior, man, that fight would have been closer, bro.
I think he would have done better in a much better game plan if he had Nacho too. You know, he went to Nacho after for the Pacquiao fight. I think he would have come up with a better game plan than Freddie Roach. But here's a good question here from the chat. What were Oscar's biggest wins at 154? I would say Vargas, right? Definitely. You could argue again. I felt like he clearly beat Shane in that rematch. Didn't get the official win, but I feel like that's one of his best performances, man. Like I would just say that performance and his win against Vargas. What do you guys think?
Well, he only had a handful of fights at 54, right? I mean, because Pacquiao wasn't there. Forbes was at 47. 54 was Shane. Vargas.
Mayorga. Yeah, he beat Mayorga there.
I think and then he went up and faced Hopkins and Sturm.
D-Stop, what was the guy from Spain that he fought at 154 pounds? Do you remember his name? Gosh, I can't remember. But he fought a dude from Spain.
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah. And he had a belt.
Quite remember,
yeah, and he had a belt at the time he beat him. Yeah, it was at 154 pounds, like when he first moved up.
I'll pull him up. I'll pull it up.
We'll pull it up. Yeah.
Is it Campus?
No, Yori Boy is from Mexico. There was another guy. He had a longer name.
Castillejo or something like that.
Castillejo, that's it. Ding, ding, ding.
That was his first fight at 154. That was his first fight at 154 after the Gotti fight.
I remember guys were saying, boxing writers at the time were like, I don't know, Oscar moving up in weight. This guy's a natural at this weight. This might be a dangerous fight. And Oscar handled this dude pretty easily, you know, from what I remember. And then he goes, yeah, Mosley was doping for that fight for sure. Shane was on that balcony and still lost. He lost that night, man. There's no doubt in my mind he lost that night, man. First fight was different.
That was a close fight, though. Both of them were tight. But prime Oscar was welterweight Oscar. That was prime Oscar.
That's a tough Oscar to beat.
That was talented, young, talented meeting experience right there. Oscar had so many classic fights, though. So many.
Fight Doctor says the best wins at 54 were Vargas and Mayorga. Those are two good wins for sure. The Trinidad fight should have been at 154 pounds. That never happened, unfortunately. And man, disappointing that we couldn't get that fight, man. Especially after all the controversy that we had after that fight. Would have been nice to see that fight happen again, you know. This time, Tito gets the job done in convincing fashion. You know,
they can still get it done in an exhibition. We can still see a rematch.
Oh, I would love that, man. I would definitely love that. I would pay
Trinidad's
big money for
bro.
that.
It's too out of shape.
But that was always Oscar's thing, right? He would do something late in the fight to the fight was close, and then Trinidad had happened against Mayweather. He was there 9 or 10 rounds in, and then he forgot the jab, or Floyd took it away, whatever one you want to argue, and gave up a close fight. That was a close fight.
Yep. I just couldn't get over listening to him. I remember they reviewed the fight the next week after it happened, and they were asking him, Oscar, what happened to your jab? You were landing. It just wasn't the night of the jab, like what do you mean it wasn't the night of the jab? Like, I don't buy that excuse. Lion Killer, we are being joined now by the Lion Killer as well. What's up, bro?
Nothing much. How are you guys?
We're doing good, man. We're doing good. Just having a discussion here about obviously I'm sure you've seen Oscar sending shots at Canelo. Talking about he's gonna knock Canelo out.
That's just pettiness after the fact. That's all it is. That's Oscar par for the course. So
I agree 100 with that.
Talking shit.
Fixing his hair, yeah.
Knock you out.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
You got to put more Orthodox Flores in his hair, keep it flat,
Arranging those fishnets in alphabetical order.
The thing about me after the Mayorga fight, the guy, or I think it was a Vargas fight, everybody says, I'm like, well, they don't understand that when the bell rings, I'm a beast in there.
Yeah.
I mean, he was, but God, just don't say anything.
Still talk.
This is the
Lion
thing.
Killer. I want to ask you something. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry if you had something to say. Go ahead.
The thing is, Oscar's whole entire world is falling apart. This can't be lost on everybody. It's been falling apart for like 10 years. So it's slowly but surely, and you're watching the death gasp right now. That's just the truth. There's very few boxers that are good at business.
Yeah,
historically, that's just the truth. So it's just like I tell people, Floyd can't spell investment. I mean, he said a lot. I don't think he can spell it though. I'm just keeping it real. So.
That is a great point, though. They're great at promoting themselves, but when it comes to other fighters, not so much. I mean, look at Floyd's stable, and Floyd was supposedly at the time going after drug use in the game, and then at the same time he had multiple fighters in his stable getting popped for drugs. So he's always had that issue with his stable and promoting them, and he had some issues with Gervonta Davis for a while there when they were going at it publicly. So yeah, that's a good point.
I got it on good authority. He himself, who was trying to police drugs, suffered something and it was washed away. So
I don't doubt it.
Exactly.
And I got that on a solid one. A solid sword.
I mean, it's a good thing he never wore MX gloves because we know.
Oh yeah, we talked about that a little earlier, but I want to get your opinion on something that I think is a really good question for the hardcore fans, because obviously we're not going to get Canelo versus De La Hoya today. Like, that's just not going to happen. But we're saying this: at 154 pounds, which version of Oscar and which version of Canelo would you pick, and who would win that fight? Lion Killer.
Oscar by knockout.
Ooh, knockout. Ooh. I like that one. I'm picking Oscar by decision.
This is the thing. Say what we want about Oscar jokingly. That boy can fight.
Yep.
I can't say there's some people that Nate knows that Oscar didn't fight, but for the fan, Oscar fought everybody. He sought the fade. I can't say that for Canelo. Y'all know how I feel about that. Oscar sought the fade with guys that they were going to give you the business too. You didn't know Oscar going in was going to win a fight or not. And I felt I know he won the Trinidad fight, but that fight, like, what the hell happened?
Yeah,
but had he won
one more rounds, right?
Dude, he won that fight clearly. Yeah. And the thing is, had that fight went down officially as a win, there's a lot of things we wouldn't be saying about Oscar right now. I think that was the perennial. That would have been the perennial win of his career. Real
At the
spill.
time. Yeah.
Because no one really was a bigger fighter at the time. The heavyweight division was toilet. This is after Lennox Lewis. Before the Klitschko's ascent totally, which wasn't much of an ascent to me, but Oscar was the man. The Floyd fight transferred that over. He was able to transition and maximize his earning potential, but Floyd is also the seventh sign of the apocalypse for boxing to me too. And so since you've had Floyd, you have this boxing era, which is not what I think what it should be. We've missed a lot of great trilogies, potential trilogies, fights, back-to-back matchups, man. And it's all because of this environment where people feel they're worth more than what they are, and they think they've accomplished way more than what they've done. So I wasn't even talking about boxing. I went live. I wasn't talking about community shit. I'd never do that. So, but yeah, that's my opinion on it, man. To be honest with you,
I think it's a hell of a fight. I would definitely pick Oscar. Like I said earlier, I feel like Oscar's style-wise can present problems for Canelo if he decides to move around a little bit and box. We know historically that gives Canelo some trouble. The jab again, the pumping that jab out there. When Oscar had that thing working, it was a thing of beauty. I mean, it was just a thing of beauty to see.
When did De La Hoya do that for 12 straight rounds? Never.
Well,
he's going to do it for the first 4 rounds, and then he's going to be in the pocket a lot more than he wants to. I just think it'll be a close fight because he can't do that for the whole fight. De La Hoya never could do that for the whole fight.
Well, the thing is, if you take off the caveats in the contract, you just make it a boxing match. This is why I say Oscar knocks the guy out. No weight clauses, none of that.
Pure 154 pounds.
Yeah.
If we're and that's why I picked Oscar too by wide decision is we're going 154 prime versus 154 prime. It's a different thing. I think maybe you're viewing it D-style as Canelo now. Canelo now is just a different beast at 160, 168 than he was at 154. I mean, his quality win at 154 is what, Trout and Lara?
Trout and Lara.
Good wins, don't get me wrong. Both good wins, but not up to par with Vargas and possibly Mosley and Mayorga. Although they might be better wins than Mayorga. I don't know.
If you look at certain fights like the Obakar fight and the Che fight, and like these are guys that were tough and really good, solid opponents, but De La Hoya should have beaten if he had the stamina, like without a problem. He didn't beat them without a problem. Like he would have problems even with a younger Canelo, in my opinion. Sure. Why? Because I'm not talking about Canelo now, and I'm not talking about Oscar at 147. Those are the primes. 168 Canelo, 147 Oscar are the prime guys. We're talking 154. We're talking tail end of his prime, or just out of his prime De La Hoya, and not quite in his prime yet. Canelo. That's pretty much what we have. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Oscar edges it out, man, on points. That's the way I see it. It'd be interesting to see how these guys take each other's punch, though, because both guys have shown pretty solid chins throughout their career. But Oscar, man, that left hook, it didn't look like much, man. But when he landed that shit clean, man, he hurt a lot of motherfuckers with that left hook, man. I did not expect him to knock Vargas out, or stop Vargas, I should say, when they fought. But he outboxed him that night, landed that left hook in that 10th round, and Vargas never recovered. And he took him out, had him against the ropes, beautiful thing, man. But going back to that fight again, big fight in the Mexican Latino community, and just picturing this fight, oh my God, this thing would be huge. And you guys weren't here to answer this question earlier, but I'm asking you both again. How do you think that fight does? It's going to be pay-per-view, no doubt about it. But I'll start with you, Calix. How do you think that fight does, man, as far as pay-per-view goes?
Which one?
De La Hoya versus Canelo.
Oh, Oh, that's one of the big ones, right? That'd be 2 million at least, maybe more.
I don't even agree.
You don't think so?
You're talking about a fight between them now?
Just prime for prime, I would say. Let's just take the Oscar from 154.
Oh,
and then the
prime for
Canelo from
prime.
154.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about now because I was about to call
now.
it.
No. Right now, no.
I was about to get real derogatory. I was about to title this motherfucker. So
I would not want to see that right now. I'm just
No.
I mean, that's not even a fight right now, bro. It's an execution right now.
No.
Yeah, I agree.
No, and you know you already know. I'm sure my viewpoint on the exhibitions. I hate them. Don't want to see them. I don't buy them. So
I mean,
no.
I've been clowning that shit for two days.
Maybe 3 million. Maybe 3 million.
You think prime for prime? They do numbers, man. They do numbers, big time.
Fight. I mean, think
But we
about
have
it.
to ask yourselves, like, what's the price? How much are they going to sell it for? Like, you know what I mean? If it's the $79.99, I'll say 3 to 4 million.
Floyd versus Canelo did over 4, right?
Two.
No,
No,
just like
2. Is that right?
2.7, I think.
Right.
Oscar,
It was
Oscar put it 2.4.
They were 2.5, something like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
was
that
under?
was-
It was under? Okay.
That was Floyd versus Manny did 4.5, and I think Floyd versus Connor did like 4.5 or something like that, right?
4.1.
Yeah.
I think the Canelo was 2.2 million buys, if I remember correctly. Now, big fight though.
We can adequately say that pay-per-view has declined.
Yes.
Oh my God! Don't get me started on that, Line Killer. That is just another thing.
No, but I mean, look, at the end of the day, you got to get a real pay-per-view star like Tank. You know what I mean? I put him in the ring with Mario Barrios, bro. That's just gonna do
Barrios. I would love to get Mario on here and just talk. to him
I'm actually picking Barrios in that fight, man.
Woo! I like it.
Is there
Well, that
more
would be
Mexican
beautiful to see.
name like last name than Barrios? Like, god damn.
Well, I mean, Tank looks like he's training based off of. I saw him hitting the speed bag, but it's just a gut feeling. It's not a scientific pick. It's just something in my gut is telling me that it's going to be an upset.
Those odds aren't as wide as I thought either. Vegas is giving Barrios a little shot at least. I think he's like plus 350, which isn't that wide. That's about what Valdez versus Burchelt was.
Look, all roads to undisputed.
But today, in today's world, to have an upset, you got to beat the guy. You got to knock him out. There's no other way. I mean, the judges are too slanted. They're too influenced. There's just too many factors. The sport is too factionalized, and this is something I keep talking about, on the podcast. If you're not paying attention to the way things are going, the commentary is not only slanted, everything else is too. There has to be a civil rights movement in boxing. I guess you got to say, fuck this shit has to stop. I'm just keeping it real.
It's agenda driven.
Exactly.
The narrative. Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
This, man. I asked Calix about this as soon as he popped on, but and shout out to Big Dog Willie, by the way, who just popped in. The trilogy, Fury Wilder, they released the undercard. We got obviously we know the main event, but then we got Frank Sanchez versus F.A. Ajagbe, Helenius Kawanaki rematch, and then we got the young up and coming heavyweight Anderson, who's going to be. They haven't announced an opponent for him yet. But it's a night of the heavyweights, man. Almost like a Don King throwback pay-per-view, man.
To be honest, that's the best undercard I've heard in ever.
Yeah.
Considering it really is.
Yeah.
I can't think of it. I mean, nobody puts out good undercards. And I'm like, you get Scratchy Maduki versus Herpes Jones on the undercard of these fights.
But is Jennifer Lopez performing there? Is the question.
Yeah, that makes a difference now, Yeah, a lot of these fights shouldn't be on pay-per-view, man. And
there's an oversaturation right now. It's Teofimo, and then right at the weekend after it's Tank Davis, and then in July you got the trilogy, and then in August you're gonna have Pacquiao Spence.
Somebody's gonna file bankruptcy.
If Al Heyman gets his way, Canelo versus Plant might end up on Fox pay-per-views. You never know. So I hope that doesn't happen. But
somebody's going to drown. To put it that way, somebody's going to drown.
Look what you're doing. Look what you're doing here, Lion Killer. You got guys
What?
now. Barrios is gonna win. I might pick Barrios.
Bro, listen, it was a gut feel. It was something I was thinking about yesterday. I was looking like, shit, gut. Something in my gut is telling me. It's not, like I said, it's not scientific. You know, I haven't seen enough of Barrios. I honestly hadn't seen enough of Tank. I've seen enough of both fighters, but to make an analysis at this point, I haven't. What's that fight? The 24th? So I need to do some. I need to go look at some video. I got to look at some video just to analyze their abilities versus each other. What I think, but right now it's just a gut thing.
Yeah, and sometimes that's good to go with, man. I mean,
what they're trying to do, though, right?
I know what they're trying to do.
I sized this up months ago. They're trying. There's a reason Adrian Broner's sticking around at 140, even though he can't make 140. They're trying to give Gervonta Davis another baby belt, even though Taylor has all of the belts that matter in his trophy case right now at 140. They're trying to feed Gervonta Davis another trinket, a baby belt at 140. And then they're going to push a Tank Davis versus Adrian Broner fight at 140 on pay-per-view early next year. I'm telling you, that's what they're doing. They're keeping Adrian Broner around at 140 for a reason.
Do you really think they'll do Tank versus Broner?
Yes,
I think so. I think they would market that as a big pay-per-view. I
know. And it keeps them away from the big lions at 135. Or the young sharks at 135 a little longer.
But
right?
Here's the thing, though. Like, look, I mean, you got Progress at 140, you got Ramirez, you got Taylor. Like, I guess they don't want to fight those guys,
No, they're not. They're going to keep him away from those guys, and then he'll give up his belt and drop back down to 135 when maybe Teofimo moves up to 140, and what's his face? Devin Haney moves up to 140, and then Tank Davis takes over 135, something like that.
Here's what I think, man. I think that they're going to take on Barrios because he's a PBC fighter. Mm-hmm. We know politics play a big role in all this stuff. I mean, these fights can be made, but we know politics will show their face when they want to. But if they get him that regular belt, which Barrios has, right? Tank wins, he's going to be the regular WBA champ. Hypothetically, if Josh Taylor moves up 147, the belt becomes vacant. Next thing you know, he's fighting for that belt, and he'll be the 3-division world champion at that point. They'll market him as that, like. So
speaking of like 140, like I think a guy that a lot of people have forgotten, and I think he's still in the mix. Even Calix has forgotten about him, even though he's from New Orleans.
Progray.
Progray.
I don't forget about Rougarou.
Look, man, I scored at 7-5 against Taylor.
Calix, you from New Orleans?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I scored at 7-5 for Progray's that fight. You know what I mean? And
I had him winning too.
Look, let me make this point. Before I forget. But Ivan Redkach, I mean, went the distance against Danny Garcia at 147. He wanted out of there against Progress, bro. Like he was like, I'm gonna fake. I got hit in the balls or some shit, or whatever the fuck he did. Okay, and that tells you like the power of Progress is real. 140. If you look, I mean, he was able to take all the punches from Ramirez, yet Progress had him looking like the fucking Elephant Man. You know what I mean? Like he had him hurt several times. So people are sleeping on Progress, and I don't know what moves he's going to make right now, but
the issue he's having is the risk reward balance. Is he's too much of a risk for the reward you get for beating him, right? So he's in that tough spot where he's not all that marketable yet, not a star, but he does provide risk at too much risk for some of these guys at 140. So
there's a commonality there. They all Porgray, Hannah Gabriels, who else? A couple other fighters. I can't think of the names right off the bat. They all had the same strength and conditioning coach. Hannah just won the light heavyweight and heavyweight titles. Moved up from 54. Porgray's looking stronger and stronger. So
what are you trying to say?
Huh? You said what?
What are you trying to say now, Lion Killer?
I'm saying there's a commonality in the training method. I've seen the trainer like shit.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, I don't know what you're trying to say.
The common
over my head. I got a quick question.
Sure.
How do y'all feel about Ortiz versus the Bulgarian cat?
Oh, Mean Machine?
Yeah,
I think it's a good fight. Now, from what I'm hearing, people have been saying that it's pretty much done. I've been hearing from other people who are close to it that it's now
Virgil, right? Because I was thinking of Victor, but Virgil, right?
Yeah.
I get like that too.
You need that face.
Lewis, Virgil,
Victor,
Victor.
But I honestly like that fight. I think that's a good fight, man.
I think that's gonna be gonna be Rock'em Sock'em.
Now, whoever wins that fight apparently gets the mandatory for Crawford too.
Yeah,
Virgil eats him alive, in my opinion. He eats him alive on the inside.
Well, the thing is, the way that if he beats Mean Machine in the way that I think he can, it's going to be an exciting fight leading into a Terrence Crawford fight, because they waved it off, but Terrence Crawford got dropped in that fight, and he legitimately got dropped. And again, this is something I've said about Terrence Crawford for years. His weakness is his willingness to trade when he shouldn't.
Yeah,
it's his only real weakness to me, and it's that man in him. He has a dog, but if a guy like Kavaliauskas can drop him, if he trades with the wrong guys, there's possibilities there. You know?
Remember when he was trading with Gamboa early in that fight? Even with Gamboa, a shorter guy, he was catching some shots.
Gamboa was getting off early in that fight, man. Like a lot of people forget that.
And then he got off his career in that fight.
You know what though? He
switched southpaw, was over.
He was outboxing him. It wasn't just he was just letting him, like he was just slugging it out with them.
Yeah.
Like I think, but once he switched southpaw, was a wrap though.
Gamboa was never the same.
Ever. That was the end of 50 Cent's promoter career. Remember, 50 just left him in the ring.
Hey,
he never saw him again.
He put those 50 cents in the Street Fighter arcade. That was over, bro.
But Virgil Ortiz caught a lot of shots against Hooker. Hooker was landing a lot of shots as well. So maybe he wasn't respecting Hooker's power, and he wanted to trade with him a little more. I don't know, but if he gets caught with those same shots in the next fight,
well, my problem with Hooker. It's always been my problem with Hooker. He has a 80-inch reach in that division and never uses it.
No,
I'm like, it would have been a more interesting fight had he used the reach. But Hooker likes to trade. Hooker is not a natural 47-pounder either. So for me, when I reviewed that fight, I couldn't use Hooker as a litmus for 47.
Mm-hmm.
Kavaliauskas, I could use as a litmus.
Right.
My question would be this for anybody who says that Virgil got hit, right? Calix, was there ever a doubt in your mind that Virgil was going to win that fight when you were watching it? Were you like, oh my God, he might lose this fight?
No,
right?
I'd
so
say
like
no.
Getting hit doesn't matter to me if there was never a doubt. Like there's guys that just have a style that, yeah, they get hit, but guess what? They're hitting a hell of a lot more, and they're positioning themselves to land the shots with the most leverage, whereas their opponents are not landing with the same type of power.
Offense is defense.
Yeah, and that is the key to Virgil Ortiz.
That sounds like Azteca back in the 90s when I was growing up. Yeah. It's all offense. Fuck that defense.
Great fights too, man.
But here's the thing, though. If you look at the punch stats, he's getting hit with like 30% of the shots. And so 70% of them are not landing. So there is defense there. You know what I mean? It's just that you're going to get hit more if you're in quote unquote the paint, which is in the pocket in boxing. It's just the way it is. You know what I mean?
Plus, generally speaking,
but just like in basketball, when you're in the paint, your percentage of landing the shot is higher. Right. The same thing when you're in the inside in boxing. I think it's the same thing.
Plus, if you're a big puncher like Hooker, generally speaking, if your output stays the same, your opponent's output is gonna lessen as each round goes on. If you're that much of a puncher.
Did you mean Ortiz, or did you mean Hooker's a big puncher?
Hooker.
I never saw him. I mean, thought of Hooker as a big puncher.
Ortiz.
Yeah.
Ortiz.
I was like,
No.
Like, what did I miss? What part of his career?
But I did respect the hell out of how Hooker fought that fight, even though it wasn't the smartest way to do it. He showed a lot of heart in that fight, man. He took it.
I just don't think
he tried. He went for it.
If he would have used his height and reach, I just think he would have been clipped and knocked out against the ropes again. Like
maybe he knew that.
You know,
that.
My thing is, I like
Virgil's a better version of Ramirez.
I like Ortiz a lot, and Ortiz boxed out of my pal growing up. I was the initial class of fighters in Irvin Pal, and he of course he came way later than me. So, but I like Ortiz, and I love Ennis. You know, I want to see that later, but Ennis is ready to take a title now, and I keep telling people Ennis has next level ability, and he's showing it now. Ortiz, in my opinion, needs to come along just a bit slower to see more styles, to see more differences. But I think the talent is there, and the potential for a big fight once the constipated welterweight division is passed.
Oh,
that's what I call it, is a constipated welterweight division. Yeah. Then we might see some great fights. You know,
I agree with you, Lion Peel. The welterweight has been just disappointing for a long time now.
I don't want to hear that word again.
And I agree with you, man. Ennis versus Ortiz. Oh my God, I think that could be a super fight, man.
2 years from now,
a super fight that everybody wants to see. One of those fights that could possibly save boxing, man. These guys, man, they both look like they've got the goods, and they're in the same division.
Who is Ennis with? What promoter is he with?
Nobody.
I believe he was with Cameron Duncan, but now he's not anymore, right?
He's independent as far as I know. Yeah, he's independent.
Yeah. That's a fight. That's a possibility.
So he can work on a fight-by-fight basis and pretty much get – because I'd love to see, even though they're running back Keith Thurman versus Sean official? Porter, it looks like. But it looks like they're doing that. But I think he sends Keith Thurman to hell, boots in us right now.
My only thing about the eye test is this. Like I understand it's there. You know what I mean? But guess what? It was there when Zab Judah was a prospect. You know what I mean? When Zab Judah was on the come up and like people were calling him Sweet Pea with the punch. What people were calling.
I remember. He was there when he was champion. He's just that he didn't work. He didn't work.
Four-round fighter. Yeah, he's a 4-round fighter in my opinion.
Well, he may have worked before the suit fight, but he got clipped, and then we found out something different about him. You know what I mean? Like, they're just fighters that I need to see some happen for me to really know what they're made of, and I haven't seen that happen with Ennis yet. You know what I mean? I haven't seen someone clip them and let's see what's up. You know what? We just haven't seen that yet.
But we ain't seen that from Ortiz. We hadn't seen a high level guy clip him. So
I think Ortiz has fought better opposition than Ennis.
That could be argued at this point. But who has he fought at 47? That was true 47. I don't know. I don't know Ortiz's career or Ennis's career to the effect that right now none of them has had that step up fight.
Well, I could ask the same thing about. I mean. Ennis' last opponent is a small dude that Mikey Garcia would box.
Well, I take that back. What's the kid? What's the guy's name?
He's fought Mauricio Herrera, who he destroyed. Orozco, who gave was in a
But I'm talking about the last guy. I'm talking about the last guy Ennis fought. What was his name?
Ennis. Lipinitsa.
I saw tread on Lipinitsa in the Casio Clayton fight. Clayton won that fight, and factions took that from him. Yeah. The thing is, Lipinitsa doesn't belong at 47. He just can't make 40 anymore. Right. Lipinitsa, comparatively speaking, you have to put him in the same class with Hooker. They're both coming from 40 to 47. So, real talk, there's just things that I see physically and in ring awareness with Ennis that I haven't seen with Ortiz yet. And that just really depends on who you're fighting. It's not that I don't think he has the talent. I just think Ennis is ahead because of the experience. Whether it's levels of competitions or not, is how he's adapted to that competition and how he looks. I just think he's going to he could get in there with the title list right now. Whether he wins or loses, he'll look good.
If a Lipinitsa, I'm sorry, if an Ortiz in this fight were to happen, I think what people are missing is this. Okay, once fatigue kicks in, once the 5th, 6th, 7th round kicks in, right? And all of a sudden, what you've been seeing with the eye test isn't there because he's tired, right? Now he's got to stay in the pocket longer, right? We don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because he's not going to style on him for a whole fight. It just isn't going to happen. He's going to have to, at some point, grind it out against
I think Ennis is more than style. I just see a lot of ring awareness. I see a guy that's measured in his pace. That's what I saw in the Lipinets fight. I saw a guy who stepped.
No, he's good.
Yeah,
like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
Ennis is really, really good, and is of course capable of beating a lot of guys. Well, what people are missing, like I see a lot of people just presupposing, oh, he would wash Ortiz.
Yeah.
And
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying. I'm saying that I see at this point, Ennis is ahead of him as far as the jumping in there with a titleist. That's what I'm saying.
So what I'm trying to get at is this, right? There's certain things we need to measure fighters on that I think a lot of people don't take into account. And in fairness, we don't know like that. Like we just don't know yet. We need to see them tested. Determination, stamina, like stuff like that. In the second half of the fight, I do believe Ortiz has that. I seen enough when he went in there with Orozco, Herrera, even against Hooker. Like I saw those qualities there that I think people are dismissing, right? Where with Ennis, he kind of destroyed Lipinets, so we didn't get to see enough. You know what I mean?
Right. And
to me, I gotta be honest.
Shit out of Van Heerden too before that cut.
Yeah, look, I think Virgil Ortiz destroys Lipinets, demolishes him. You know what I mean? Like he'll beat him in a different way. You know what I mean? But I want to see those two guys fight, Ennis and Ortiz. I do, right? But I think the boxing world owes them to fight for a title. Or, you know what I mean? Because why should those two guys eliminate each other, one or the other, while we have the titleists that are not fighting each other, just kind of sitting pretty up there? You know what I mean?
That ain't sitting pretty.
That's a 2023 fight. That's a 2023 fight.
Welterweight is pure dumpster juice right now.
Oh man, it's awful.
These two guys
talk about their fights.
At all. These two guys that we're talking about right now, I think, are going to save that division and produce us a big fight. Because I mean, I'm seeing good conversation in the chat. Guys are heavy on one side or the other, and we're right now we're talking about the styles and the matchups and everything. Just imagine in a couple more fights, they step up competition. We see more things. We see the progress. It's going to get even more intense. That collision course is going to tighten up. And then in a couple of years, we're going to get that explosion. We're going to get that big fight, man. I just can't wait for that.
They're both going to be world titleists, and they're not going to fight each other.
That's the possibility.
Don't do that.
G-Funky, you brought us on and reminded me of something. How do y'all feel about Rosario versus Lubin? Because we were talking mad shit yesterday about that one.
I think that's going to be a very entertaining fight. I think
once somebody touches somebody going to be leery.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the movable object versus the stoppable force wins.
Yep. I think once Lubin feels a taste of that cocaine, he's not going to. The one thing Rosario can do is what they call punch.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Puerto Rican rum. Good names here. The future of 47. Ortiz, Ennis, Stanison, Xander Zayas, Rashidi. Yes, man.
Xander fights this weekend, right? On the Shakur.
Yes, he does. Yes,
I don't know about Stenois. I don't know about Stenois. I saw some things I didn't like. I hope he adjusts.
Is he gonna be like Elvis? Elvis Rodriguez?
Yeah, I'm not sold on him, man, at all.
Is he gonna be like Elvis Rodriguez?
Heartbreak Hotel. Oh,
hey, but real quick, y'all were talking about Zab. We were talking about this on Twitter earlier. 14-year anniversary of Zab versus Cotto. And being a Cotto fan, man, y'all know me. I was nervous early in that fight, even though Zab's a front runner. And Cotto really slowed Zab down with those low blows early in the fight. I mean, he was nut punching like crazy early in that fight.
To the nuts we go.
But that was a hell of a fight.
You're making me feel old.
Classic right there.
You're making me feel old again.
I think I'm older than all of y'all.
Dude, the other day you were talking about Gotti Ward 18 years ago. now this fight 14 years ago. Oh my god, I can't believe that, man.
Lennox versus Mike Tyson the other day was
That was
what,
2000
years ago.
20,
yeah,
21 years
I
ago.
remember exactly where I was. I took my girlfriend at the time to my best friend's house. I bought the fight. And I knew when Mike Tyson missed that hook by the hair, that fucking fight was over. I like that was Mike's one shot, and Mike missed, and Lennox commenced to beat the brakes and the rotors and the gas line off his ass, and that's what happened.
Him. Yep, destroyed him. Unfortunately, and I was rooting hard for Mike. One of the rare times I was rooting hard for Mike was against Lennox. Fortunately, he came up short. But guys, this has been a great conversation, man. I'm glad that you guys jumped on. I want to give Lion Killer, thank you for coming on and giving us your time, man. Appreciate it. Same thing with you, Calix. Also, the boxing historian who was on with us earlier, Andy Jefferson. All you guys in the chat. It's been a great conversation, man. I love it. Make sure you tune into the roundtable tomorrow on D-Style Boxing, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. We'll have more stuff we're going to talk about there. But guys, this is it, man. And it's always great to talk with you guys. I really love the boxing talk, man. So with that said, we're going to end it, man. This is G Funky Boxing of HCP, and we're out. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.